answered the door, just my lady picking up a parcel. So it's slightly dried. This is what we like. So you can now see it's starting to come alive. It's the shape of where I want my tree, the shape of the clouds in the sky, and you can see the actual fencing coming down here. So I'm knocking up a little bit of the greeny colours because I want to sort out, you know, put a little bit more green in here. And like I said before, we like to do our skyline. In fact, I can probably do this, doing up on there. Yeah, if I do it here like this. So I like to have like what I class as my little bit of skyline. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting like some of the dark greeny colour on here. Doesn't have to be too neat because of, you know, like I said, it's just to give a little bit of distinction in the sizes where we're going, and it's just like not too much and not too little. So of course I want to give some sort of like greeny little bits to my tree just to give sort of like depth, and it doesn't matter that I've got some blobby parts on the paintbrush because that is exactly what I want, just to give it, you know, sort of shape. And as I'm showing you how I'm putting bits together, you can see the colour on the yellow, how that's going. But of course we're going to be having tree trunks and that in there, aren't we? So we don't want to go too nice and neat, do we, on there? And we're going to pull up on here. So can you see it's gradually getting there? And I think where this, I'm going to put underneath this here, some dark shadow coming across, and of course we've got like a building there, so I can do some shadow across in there on here, and we definitely would have shadow coming across. And whilst I've got this greeny colour on here, and I want to put a little bit again on like a smaller little bits of tree, and in the background for my little bit on here, because in the background there it would be, you can't really tell, but I'm going to put, we'll see what that comes out like later with when I'm putting all the little sections in. Right, so I'm going to, what I'm doing is, there you can see that's coming along. I don't want to do, I want to put lots and lots of breakups of it. So, because this is only colour, it's not the intricate little bits, it's just making it the depth of the different colours what you'd get in a tree, but showing eventually that will be, when we do all our finishing off bits on there, it will make a huge difference. Right, because I'm doing it without looking, but no, that still looks okay on there. Yes, that's great. Right, I've still got a little bits of the green, so left over here, and I'm just going to be putting some little drops round, little bits round where the little posts are. I think I better do some of the posts in a minute because I need to get some browny colours on here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to do like a browny colour for the tree trunk, and try and put some like darky colours here to make this little building, and then do some 3 or 4 different colours in the browns and whites on the actual fence posts. So in the water again, I'm going to put a brown, like a deep brown in that one. And when you're using on here, you can even like use your yellow ochre and your burnt umber. You can use all these sort of colours to mix them all in to get the colours where you want. But because I know the fence panel is going to be a mixture of all colours, because I want to do a bit of scratching on it to make it look like it's old, and you know, use an old credit card or whatever. So what I'm going to do is, I really want like a slushy grey, so if I actually use what you can see me, what I've done there, the leftover blue I've got, I've actually made a nice sludgy browny colour because I want to have this as the under part. So I've got my smaller brush, so what I need to do is just put some lines just to make, I suppose if I do whatever I do on this first panel, they'll all have to be very similar. So what I've decided to do is do 3, because then I can have bits growing up it. So I can just do some rough fence like posts. Right, if I just show you, okay, see like how rough and light that colour is. So that's what I'm going to be starting, trying to get the shape of really scruffy sort of fence panels. But of course they'll all be wide to start off with, and then they'll be coming down in size to go for the further away. I don't want to make it too fast, the getting smaller, because this is right in my foreground, so I need them fatter. And so it doesn't matter you're doing the colour on these, because, right, let's show you there, that's the next little section. So hopefully you can see I'm just graduating it further back. So again, using the sludgy colour and little lines, because again, when I come to do it properly, the finished result, I'll be making it look more like, you know, there'll be shadow in it. And yeah, making this now, I'm making it a lot less visible, because that will be, it's definitely getting smaller as it goes further up. Doesn't matter that I've got all the yellow underneath it, it's actually helping, because when I do put the darks on it later on here. Now, how are we all feeling? Are we feeling a bit therapeutic? I mean, okay, I've still got pain, but it's taking my mind off it, isn't it? So we all agree that covering up pain is a very good thing to do on there. Right, there we go. Next one up. So giving it some depth on there. See, I'd already put the green without realising it. So now, of course, it's now not going to be quite so sharp looking. It's definitely got a lot narrower and not so prominent. But again, I've got to try to make it carry on as if it is there still. And I think this one will have to be the last one of the more straight, and then I think I'll have to make it a little bit more, not quite so together there, because I want to make them smaller and smaller now, smaller and smaller. And as you notice, it's all freehand. It's a little bit wonky, but a fence panel would probably look a little bit wonky, wouldn't it? So now I'm going to try and straighten that up, put me last little lines in, because it's going to get less and less and less now, because they're almost nothing to show at all now on there. There, and I can do more of it if I want to later. Right, okay, so hopefully as you're looking on there, that's taking you down across the field and giving you a little bit of insight of the fencing. Right, so with that same slushy colour, I'm now going to just go along here into my tree. Of course, there will be different colours in that in a minute. I'll have a little bit of that in there as well. Mix it all up whilst it's under there. But of course, a tree would have a big unusual branch, like, you know, like be very dark there. So what I'm going to do is put more of this dark colour in, because we don't want it too nice. Are we looking on there? Here. And of course, now I'm going to have to put a bit more yellowy in, for I want to do little tiny little bits like this for a little roof on there. That's the roofy colours. but I quite like the idea of like yellowy bits on there. So again, I'm still using these, but I'm just going to do some little tiny lines because if I will want to connect these all up with some lighter colour in a minute. Okay, so is that looking like a roof on there? And a bit of that sludgy colour again, a little bit sludgy there. Oh, sludgy. And then I can use all my dark to bring the shape out in a moment, can't I? Because the chances are there will be, like I said, more shadow behind it. Yeah, much more shadow behind it. There. So what I would normally do is put quite a lot of dark colours in on here, which of course, now I'm looking down on it, I can see that I've gone slightly off peak on there. Well, okay, so I've got to concentrate now on trying to get my shape of the bottom part of my building, because otherwise it will be not able to save. But that's okay, because I think where I've got all my, it could even be just a barn, couldn't it? Like a yellow barn. So if it is a yellow barn, I think I shall have to put some colours of yellowy bits around the bits and pieces. Yeah, that's okay. And of course this will all be darker, the front. Bit the sludgy mixed with yellow. Okie dokie on here. Right. So you're seeing now in the distance the barn effect on there, which of course until I get all the ornate bits done. Right, so this is like the view we're going to have. Now it means that's all the undercoat. Now I've got to try and make it look good, haven't we? So what should we do first? The greenery on the panels on there. Of course we've got like the little fencing, but the fencing can go on top afterwards. I think we need to concentrate on doing a little bit better on the tree, and yeah, we can have some really dark ornate bits on the tree to bring it to life. But see, some people like it all scruffy anyway, so you know, that is how it can be. But I shall just put some bolder colours on just for the moment, just so it can be dry into it, because I just don't want it to be too scruffy. It's just using a pretty colour green just to blend in and to put some light and dark in it. Some light and dark. And of course, like I said, I'll be using my little tiny paint brushes to neaten this all up, but we don't want it to be too unsallified, do we? So there we go. You can do as many little fancy little bits as you like. But of course a tree would be quite shady, wouldn't it? We've got, you know, the shades, the light's coming in, so the shade's going across there. So we'd have to put some dark, more dark in this side here. There we go. Just for now. And then we get some more of the bits in the background. Okay, so because I've got that nice dark green, what I'm going to do is try to sort of do some individual little tree bits on our last bit. You know, like we've already done a little bit over here. So let's see if I can actually do it whilst I'd like to think I can actually do sort of like some little, some like, you know, like the conifers. Because you do still get conifery type trees, don't you? And then of course we do a few which aren't. And again, a little roundish tree. And that's more like the big oak or something like that. And then again in the background we've got the something like that, and then another little bit like an oak, like a little bit like that. And this one's definitely sort of like a nice little skyline, just making it look more particular. And everything is all adding on bit by bit. There. What do we think of that now? Is that coming along? It's building bit by bit. Is that looking like Ireland, is it? Like a nice Irish field? Okay, so now I've got to, as you can see, it's very yellow here, so I've now got to start putting little layers into the greenery here. But of course, I need to have some ornate bits, so gradually now I'm going to be working all along this front, because this whole corner here will be what your eye line goes to, because of, well, there'll be like flowers and bits and bobs. But of course, I've still got to do quite a bit of work with the actual fence panels. And I want some wishy-washy greenery to be putting around the bottom parts of the, you know, where the posts would be, because, you know, the greenery on the actual fields, I suppose it is fields, but often you'd get like a little bit of a path, wouldn't you, where people would walk. So I'm going to put some little brownie bits in as well now. So this is now, because it's getting there, I want to have like a scruffy path, because of, you know, if there's a fence there, the chances are there would be like a pathy bit, wouldn't there? And because I know I want this to look really pretty at this front bit and have flowers, then I want to have the flowers going off from the park, you know, the pathway. And again, little bits of the green. And this section would be much more green because it's the right at the front. So we want a nice little drop of that. I'm going to water down the greeny bit, because what I need to do now is just sort of put some splashy bits, a bit of colour behind my fence panel, my you know, the fencing. Because what's going to happen in a minute, I'm going to put some more colour in to make that fencing. I want it to be dark and, you know, light and whatever. Right, okay. So it's coming along quite well, considering I'm not 100% today. You're going to say, oh, why is that still all dark up there? But you'll see as I bring up the rest of the outer bits to go with it, because it's just trying to give it the dark parts of the shadow. You know, the sun's behind the sun is here behind the tree, so it's sending the shadow across. So I've got to have some shadow in the front of the fence panels, but the shadow is going to be coming downwards on there. So that's what I'm aiming for at the moment, sort of like a sludgy colour. But again, I don't want to make it too dark, but it'll come to as I'm wetting it and making it more part of the picture. You know, because the shadows are very important and the colours are very important, because we know you know, behind here there would be the dark on here. And as you can see, I'm just using up lots of the darkish colours of the paints just to bring them in. But of course, once we get to the fancy little bits, when we're going to be wanting to put all the bits for your eye line, then we'll get a different sort of idea for it. Right, okie dokie. Right, the bit I'm looking forward to doing now is my fencing. Okay, right, there's enough of the dark back. There's a little bit of I've done now a little bit of pathway. So now I'm going to turn this off, change my water because if it's a little bit dirty, and I'm going to concentrate on doing the fencing.